All right, it's 10 o'clock. This is the agenda of the Cemetery Commission meeting for Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. This meeting is being conducted remotely and will be recorded and be available to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link below to join the public meeting webinar, which can be found on the town's website. Or from a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the meeting ID 792-737-0353. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. So I'll open the meeting. I'm Bill Tyler, the chair. Also present is Nancy Yasko and David Doran and DPW Director Oliver. I don't see any public comment here. So why don't we just get started, Rob? Before we do too much, if you don't mind, for the benefit of everybody that hasn't seen, well, they've seen it, but haven't seen this graphic before of the budget. Could you just go over it line by line so everybody understands what they're looking at?
Yeah. And first off, thanks for having the meeting. I kind of have a short timeline to get the budget in and submitted. So it was a goal of the Finance Committee to have all the boards and commissions with a budget to have seen them. And so thanks for having it. And I'm happy to go over it with you. So if you have it in front of you, basically, so there's two sections to the cemetery budget under the DPW. There's personnel, and then there's purchase of services. So personnel covers all of our labor costs. So starting at the top line, we have the cemetery supervisor salary. For fiscal year 23, that's gone up with the yearly salary. So that covers superintendent's salary. The next line, which is, so that's the requested budget is $62,480.06. Next line.
Sorry, can I ask you a quick question on that?
Sure.
Is that across the board, meaning that most of your people, I just want to understand how you do your budget piece of it. It's like 2.5% from that 59 to that 62. So is that across the board that you give all your people that, or does it depend on, what you look at, Rob, as far as how the person is done throughout the year?
No, it's based on their, so Todd's under the DPW union contract. So that's his contractual salary.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Which had an increase this year, and they negotiated a new contract starting fiscal year 22. So that was included in that contract.
Okay.
Then the overtime cemetery supervisor has historically been at $2,000. I highlighted it there just to note that in fiscal year 21, it went over budget. Maybe it was just a busy year and required, Todd to be in maybe on Saturdays a little bit more or after hours. But historically, it's been right in range with that. So I'm keeping it at 2,000. When I looked at it for this fiscal year, it's right on line. He's well under that at the moment. So I'm confident in that number. So that's $2,000. Longevity pay, again, is a contractual item. This year, Todd is eligible for longevity. So for him, it's an additional $850. So we budgeted for that. Contract evaluation stipends, that is also contractual. So that is basically the maximum amount under the DPW contract they can earn based on my evaluation. So we budgeted for that. Then seasonal cemetery salaries, which, as you know, was new this fiscal year. That's the originally what I had budgeted in 2022. based on what we offered as a rate, it works for this year as well. And actually that gets me about 19 weeks worth of 2 seasonal cemetery workers, which is more than what I had originally budgeted for. And I think reasonably could assume we can use it all. So I'm keeping that the same, no reason to increase or decrease. So under personnel, the total budget is $77,915.88. Under purchase of services, we have 4 line items. The first being purchase of service, which was new for fiscal year 22. We're keeping that the same, where I don't have a complete year yet under the, with these new items. It's hard to say where we're at, but we're still, under budget on those, and we have some money remaining to use. So for actually all 4 line items, purchase of service, I'm holding that at $7,500. Uniform allowance reimbursement, that's just part of personnel. So 1,100 of that is contractual for the cemetery superintendent. And then an additional $1,100 is split between the seasonal workers for some gear for them. So that remains the same at $2,200. Fuel charges, that's historically been the $2,500. We'll keep that the same, no need to increase. And then supplies, which was new for this year, at $10,000. Again, we're under, but plan on doing some more things. So we're going to keep that right where it is. So under purchase of services, those 4 items is a grand total of $22,200, which brings the total cemetery department budget up to $100,115.88, which is basically a $2,000 or $3,000 increase over last year, just based on salaries. So
Rob,
that's it.
question on, what's the purchase of service, is that for machinery?
It can be used if we need a contractor. If we needed to purchase a piece of equipment, supplies would be used for that. So purchase of service could be for any number of things that we need some outside help with.
So purchase of service and supplies are really for the same, could be the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, conceivably, if I needed more under purchase of service, I could transfer from supplies if it's justified. So they're intended, they're both in support of cemetery operations.
Okay.
I think generally what that's used for, the purchase of service, is if, like Rob said, was if we have to, or if he has to have some tree work done and things like that, the town can't handle on their own. Things of that nature, like if we had the tree work done at the Goodrich burial site on Fish Street in Lincoln, we had to have those trees taken down. That's where that money would come from.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. If we can go back up to personnel, not that this is any of our concern really, but on a note, when you have the line item overspent by 2,086 with transfer from cemetery budget, and what exactly, in other words, you went over 2,000, you went $2,086 over the 2,000? Is that what that means?
If I'm not mistaken, I think the overall, I don't think the overall spending was 2086, or maybe it was. Essentially, it had to be transferred from another line item to cover it. So, obviously, we don't want to take money from another account, but if we had to. But in looking back, I went back through the history, on that particular line item for a number of years, and it generally hasn't gone over. So, I'm hoping that was just a one-off. I don't see a need to increase it.
So what I guess what I'm asking is, when it says transfer from cemetery budget, that wouldn't come out of purchase of service?
If anything, I'd take it if there were, say, at the end of the year, there was seasonal cemetery money left. I would take it out of personnel first, or a combination if I had to. If there was, 3 accounts that had a little money left in them. I mean, it can conceivably come out of any of those line items.
Yeah.
But if it happened again, I would pull it out of personnel money first, obviously.
Okay.
But we're not sure if it was additional 2,086 or was it just $86 over? That's what I'm trying to understand too.
Yeah, let me try and get you an answer.
Okay. I'd just be interested in that.
Yeah. Bear with me for 1 minute. Do you have other questions?
I have another, it's more of a suggestion than a question on that line item, but that's the only question I have as far as an amount goes.
Yeah, let me try and get to the bottom of that. Okay, so yeah, so in 21, it did actually go over by that amount. So the total for that line item that year was $4,086.22.
Okay.
So again,
So technically we went over 4,000, so it cost overtime was 4,000.
exactly.
Okay.
Wow.
And
we've never had that before?
It went, so 2016 to 2019, it went anywhere from $537 to almost $2,000. And then in, oh, no, correct that. Hang on, sorry. Let's see, for 2020, it was $2,200. In 20, we said 21 was $4,000. 2018, it was 2,000, 1,200 the year before that, 500 before that. So, you know, it maybe wouldn't hurt to boost that or request that to go up a little bit. If anything, Todd and I have been talking, you know, I've tried to cut down a little on the overtime in terms of, for instance, as an example, opening and closing.
I would just like to, you know, again, it's probably none of our business, so that's why I don't want to step over something I'm not supposed to, Rob. But all I'm asking is, you know, what was in that overtime that put us over 2,000, you know, another up to $4,000 on overtime this past year? I guess, you know, the year prior, I would probably say, you know, possibility because of COVID, but that's why I'm a little perplexed with it, what I'm seeing on that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, fiscal 21 I was only here. In fact, I wouldn't have been here, so I can't tell you how the overtime went up that much.
Right.
What I can tell you is, you know, maybe based on past practices, there was overtime used for things that perhaps didn't need to be overtime. So I'm trying to limit that. So from my perspective, I think we're fine at that, and I know Todd's aware of it. So I don't see a need there. So I couldn't tell you what happened for fiscal year 21.
Is overtime put in when a burial is on a Saturday?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It could be something else too. If there's a need for Todd to go in on a Saturday, you know, a tree branch came down and it needs to get cleaned up, you know, that's an overtime call out. So, or say the weather turns and things get slick, or we want to open the cemetery on the weekend, I would, you know, I don't think that's an overtime call out. I think that's, you know, do it before you go home type of thing, and, or, you know, get it on the way home rather than come in tomorrow to do it. So,
but if you use him on a weekend or even after hours during the week, does that fall under cemetery or does that fall under DPW for
Well, anything Todd does related to the cemeteries is cemetery overtime.
Okay, but
If he's out plowing, it's not cemetery.
Okay. So if you use them after hours for something for the DPW, it's not billed under the cemetery.
Correct.
Okay.
I think some of the overtime, again, it's not, like I said, it's not really our concern, but I just wanted to, I think when the Todd's main lawnmower broke this year, I think he had to, the interim time there where he had to put in some overtime to cut the grass, I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, the reason I bring that up is because I had a conversation with your predecessor about this. We never really followed through with it, but this was a suggestion, and I think it bears at least investigating that when there's a burial on Saturday, there's a $500 charge that they charge the family. It's added to the funeral cost, and that's intended to cover the overtime, and that harkens back to when the cemetery was on their own. But it's still in there, and they still charge $500. My suggestion would be to funnel that $500 or whatever it is into the overtime account, if that could be done. That would have to be a conversation to have with Karen or something like that. But right now, that $500 just goes to the town anyway. I'm not sure where it goes. It doesn't go to the cemetery sale of lots or anything like that. So, I mean, it seems like, if you had a couple of Saturday burials, that'd be $1,000 right there that could be put into the overtime account. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, no, I can, because I don't have a clear answer on that. I can talk to Karen and see what's historically been done, if anything, and how to kind of facilitate that. Because I'm not sure. Yeah, I honestly don't know the mechanism for that. So I'll talk to Karen.
Yeah. Any other questions on the budget?
No, I think that was a good idea, Bill. Thank you for bringing that up, because
Yeah.
if that can be done, Rob, I mean,
It just seems like almost like a double charge. You're charging a town
Right.
coming out of the overtime account, and then we're charging a family $500. It seems like there could be a smoother way to do it.
Right.
But one question I have is, I know you don't know off the top of your head how much is left in the purchase of service, but and it's not important anyway. But I know we had an early meeting, we had talked about prioritizing that money for the hedges at the North Cemetery. That seems to be on the top of the list for the commission anyway, to get done this year anyway. And we had talked about if there was some money left in the purchase of service account that you could possibly encumber that if you had a PO to cover the whole cost of the whole North Cemetery project, because I think that's going to eclipse that $7,500, or at least use most of it. So I don't know if that's still something you're in favor of.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly, yeah, I have no problem with that. And just for, as of, last week, I don't think anything's too much different at this point. Right now, purchase of service is about 69%, 59% used. So I think there's about $3,000 left in that account. And then in the supplies, that's about 62% used up. There's about $3,800 left in that account. So more than half used on both of those accounts at the moment.
Yeah. Because we had talked about maybe in the spring, just to refresh everybody's memory, was to either Lakeview or the Bolak Brothers, or whoever you decide you want to have do it, attack that first section of hedges from the beginning of Highland to the first entrance, just to see what kind of job they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that wouldn't take up too much of the money, but it would give us an idea of what kind of job they would do, instead of giving a contractor the whole contract and not being happy with what they've done.
Right.
Does that still seem like a battle plan?
Yeah. I mean, unless something comes up where we have a bigger expenditure than we hadn't really budgeted for. which I don't see. I mean, we never know what happens, but yeah, I have no problem with that. And I know Todd and I had talked about it, so we'll continue to follow up on that.
When do we
Because,
need the purchasing, do you need the purchasing order sooner rather than later, Rob?
No, nope, I can get that
No.
anytime I want.
Okay,
because I think that we pretty much decided as a commission that that's the project we really want to get done this year. I mean, there's some other things, obviously, you know, they have there's some stone work that needs to be done. The stone walls are especially in North Cemetery, starting to collapse, but and we talked about maybe attacking some of the grub problems. But I think the hedges, I think that's on everybody's at the top of the list to get that done this year. That's my 2 cents on that. I don't know if anybody else has anything else they want to discuss with Rob or while he's here.
no, I think. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for all that you do and helping us with this. We really appreciate it.
Nope, that's my pleasure. And I'll be submitting, my budget gets submitted by next Wednesday. But basically, you know, we're level funded for cemetery. And, you know, we'll hopefully see how it pans out with the original budget from fiscal year 22 that we got to work with. And hopefully, you know, as time goes on, we see more needs, we'll work on that. But I think level funding it for this year is prudent, and we'll make the most of what we have.
Okay.
Rob, thank you very much.
All right, I gotta sign out, but have a great day and don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
All right.
Good
Take
luck
care.
today.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, the only other thing on the agenda is just the approval of minutes from December 7th and 16th. You guys had a chance to look at both of those?
Yeah. Make a motion to approve it. No,
Nancy, have you seen it? Have you read them?
I think she's gone.
Oh,
I don't see Nancy.
all right, well, I guess we'll have to approve it without her. That's okay. Two's a quorum. So just make the motion and I'll second it and I'll be fine.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I make a motion to approve both of the minutes for the last two meetings.
Wait, I think Nancy's back just a minute. Oop. Hang on a minute. Hi. Good. I wasn't quite done before you logged off. Can you go back on real quick? That's okay. Yeah, all right. Bye. Well, she thought we were done. She's gonna get back on. So Dave, you were able to understand that budget fairly well?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Well, the only thing I'm still the overtime cemetery supervisor. He said 2,000, but it was actually 4,000 from what he said to Nancy. So I don't know why the 2,000's in there when it should have been $4,086.
I think historically it was $2,000, and very seldom did they go over it very much. For whatever reason, they went over it quite a bit this last year. But I don't think that's.
I don't think that's going to happen again, because I think Rob's going to watch that. I'm a little shocked that, you know, that it went over that much. Aren't you, honestly?
Yeah, but again, I think a lot of that had to do with the grass situation where the lawnmower broke down and they had to try to scramble to
Yeah.
get things done. I think a lot of that came from that, and but I'm sure they'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
The only other thing on the agenda was approval of minutes of December 7th and 16th. Did you have a chance to look at them, Nancy?
Yeah.
Did everything look all right?
Yeah. I don't have them
Okay,
in front of
now-
me right now, but I remember when I looked at them, I didn't see anything. I
Okay.
know you were changing that one piece regarding the cemetery, what we're going to vote on.
Right. That was the buyback of the lot.
Right.
That's in process right now. They got a letter from the plot owner requesting it, so it's in the hands of the accountant now to give them their money back, and then I guess we can, at some point, we can sell the lot.
But I just went quickly into the overtime bid, and it comes out to be like 61 and a half hours of overtime. If you take Todd's rate at
Yeah.
the 23 budget instead of the 22 budget, comes out to be 61 and a half hours. I don't know if we've had that many funerals on a Saturday for 61 and a half hours.
No, I think a lot of that, like I mentioned, was to do with the grass cutting.
Oh,
He had some problems with the lawnmower broken down, and he had to put in some time. But that's again, that's not really our concern too much. My concern was I just wanted to find out where the extra $2,000 came from. That's all.
yeah. Okay.
So can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes of both of the meetings, the last two meetings.
Aye.
Do I have Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And that's it. The only other thing, just to keep in the back of your mind, we'll have another meeting sometime in January or very early February. And the only thing we have to do is, well, we have a couple things to do. Every spring, we submit it to the town report, the report of the commission's year and what we've done and things like that nature. So I'll put that together and send you a draft. And also includes Todd's list of burials for the year, which he handles. Then the other thing I have to do is to find out how much money we have left in our appropriation from last year, so we can figure out how much money we're going to appropriate this year. But again, we have some time to do that, but just to keep it in the back of our minds what we got coming up. So if nobody has anything else, somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
10:27 p.m. Aye.
All right, thank you, guys.
Aye.
We'll talk to you later.
Yep.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thank you, Bill.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.